Leveling up is an iconic element when it comes to RPGs. It's a sign of tangible progress, of getting stronger, overcoming challenges, and overall a reflection of work you have put in. In this video, we are going to go over the ins and outs of leveling in Dofus, and how to maximize your XP and put you on the road to the maximum level of 200. Let's start by talking about the elephant in the room when it comes to leveling and XPing, the bonus pack. One thing that is really awesome about Dofus Touch is that the game is completely free. Like literally free. But the catch when it comes to this is that you are seriously gimped by default when it comes to drops and earning XP. It's not a big deal when you're starting out, but you will quickly see that playing without it is kinda terrible. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, guys. The developer has to make some sort of money, of course, so this is a way to get income with the game, since the game is free, I repeat. If you're familiar with PC Dofus, it's kinda in the same vein of the subscription fee. But I think the bonus pack is a lot more friendly to the consumer, that is you, as it's not mandatory to enjoy the game. Whereas without a subscription active on PC, you pretty much can't play the game. You're not gimped, you're pretty much disabled on there. Here, if you don't have the bonus pack, you just don't level as fast or drop as many things. And that's the extent of it, and you still enjoy the game in full. I'm in the US, so whenever we talk about money, it's going to be in US dollars. That being said, I think the prices are pretty reasonable. A couple of bucks gives you a week of the bonus pack, and around $5 gives you a month's worth. Dofus is a pretty massive game, and you'll definitely get a lot of bang for your buck. Ultimately, it will be up to you if you want to have it or not, but let's move on. There are two major ways you can earn XP in Dofus, and that's fighting monsters and doing quests and achievements. Let's start with monster fights. If you touch and hold a mob on the map, it will show you the XP you can get from the fight based on the XP the monsters give themselves, and depending how much wisdom you have. Wisdom is a very powerful stat that boosts your XP during fights, as well as raise your ability to parry the loss of AP and MP, which is beyond the scope of this video. But when it comes to wisdom, it's kinda of a double-edged sword. To boot, it costs 3 characteristic points to raise it by 1, which is pretty expensive, especially early on when you have to worry about raising your element of choice and your HP. And unlike PC Dofus, where you can just reset your stats on a whim, here on Touch, you kinda have to commit to how you spec out your character. There are ways to reset your stats, of course, but it is not as convenient as it is on the PC side of things, to say the least. Unless your class is focused on removing AP or MP, I would leave it alone and let your equipment boost this stat for you. Even then, I would leave Wisdom last. This is not to say there are not wisdom based builds for some characters, but they are more viable at the very high levels. As you play, you may see people in the chat looking for an XP group and advertising that they are full wisdom. Heck, they may even show their stats in the chat log just to show how much wisdom they have. This is what is called a leecher, and you don't want to be a leecher. Leechers are people who are just going to sit in a fight just to collect the XP at the end. Sounds nice, but as a leecher, you are very dependent on others to do the work, as full wisdom builds also means you are terrible at killing stuff on your own. Thus the term leecher. This is why I don't recommend this for new people. We are here to play the game, learn, and have fun. If this is really how you want to spend your time on Dofus, then why are you even playing? Nah, we don't roll this way. Moving on, you probably noticed these stars. They are an indication of how long the mob has been on the map and kinda act as a reward to venture and fight something that's not fought often. Kinda how your savings account accrues interest. So the longer the mob has been sitting there, the more stars it will gain. Therefore, the more XP and drops it will pay out. A mob of monsters can have 10 stars maximum or 5 red stars, and depending how active your server is, finding a full star mob may be super rare. And as a side note, this also applies to gathering resources as well, such as trees, plants, pretty much anything you can harvest on a map. Another attribute that is modifying the XP is your actual level or the group level. This is how Dofus prevents people from farming the same monsters over and over again. But I like to think it's a way to keep you moving to more challenging monsters. The closer you are to a group and level that you are attacking, the more efficient your XP at the end of the fight. It makes sense that you would be fighting things at the same level as yourself, as it's a fair fight sort of thing. This sweet spot is often referred as the cap or the level cap. Think of it kind of like a bell curve, and you want to be right at the apex of that curve. As such, the higher level you are, the return on XP starts diminishing, so keep that in mind. When you are in a group with others, you can check out the group tab to see the total level of the group, so you can tackle appropriate sized monster groups. The game does a pretty good job with scaling mobs to all sorts of group sizes, so you'll run into groups for solo players to a full team of 8. This doesn't mean you shouldn't be fighting monsters that are higher than your level, just that they may be more challenging depending on your class and build, and therefore maybe take longer, but give it a shot if you're up for it. Now during the fight, there's even a way to gain even more XP. You see these icons on the left? These are fight challenges. They are more or less a way to spice up the fight, and as a reward for completing them, you get a boost in XP and drops. They are more or less random, but if you click and hold on the icon, it will tell you what you have to do to receive the bonus. They are super neat, but you may find that they're not worth the trouble at times, as depending on the challenge, it may really extend the time of your fight. But if you can, go for it. In a group, it's good to check them out at the beginning of the fight and establish if it's something that everybody wants to do, as failing the challenge will permanently cancel it for the remainder of the fight, and the chat will let everybody know who failed it. And you really don't want to be the one who messed up the challenge, especially if it's a really good one. And to top things off, the good old almanacs can give a bonus to XP on specific type of monsters, so keep an eye out for those on certain days. And lastly, on very rare occasions, double XP events, which are just amazing coupled with everything we just went over. You can know about these kind of events via the login screen. There's a little section where they do news and updates, and they will usually show up there. Now let's talk about quests and achievements. This is a pretty straightforward way to keep growing without the grind. A lot of the quests in Dofus give pretty decent XP, and if you're running around doing the quests, enjoying the story, it's pretty much free XP. And a lot of the quests are tied to achievements, yielding even more XP and rewards. So it's a win-win. Early on, this is a perfect way to start gaining those levels, as for the most part, quests are solo ventures. Since we are on the subject of quests, doing the Wabbit Island questline will yield the Coward Dofus. This Dofus gives a bonus of 60 wisdom, which is a lot. And you are going to want to do this quest, as it's the only way to get the Coward Dofus. Unlike PC, a lot of the Dofus are permanently linked to the account, so don't think you can just jump in and buy one here. Challenger though, this sounds good and all, but where do I level? Luckily, the game tells you where to go depending on your level. When you open up the map, click on a spot. You will highlight a region. Underneath of the name of that region, you will see a level number. This is telling you the level of the monsters that are found in that region. And like you know, you want to be fighting monsters that are close to your level. So if you're say level 30, look for a region that's around level 30. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Now, if you are solo, depending on your build and your playstyle, different areas will be more suitable for you, so explore around. On the other hand, this is an MMO after all, and fighting in groups will almost yield more XP. So keep an eye out on the recruitment chat to join XP groups. Can't find a group? Make your own. And here's a great tip to get some people to join you, so listen up. Don't ask for help to level you up. This comes across as a little desperate. People are on here doing their own thing, and you are pretty much asking them to stop what they're doing to come help you. Just ask yourself, what are they getting out of helping you level? Probably very little. Instead, phrase it like so. Hey, I'm out leveling. If anybody's interested, shoot me a PM, and I got room for more people to join in. Now this may look and sound like you are recruiting for the same thing, but the message is totally different. Here, you are already doing something, and when people are reaching out, they are reaching out because they want XP too, and not exclusively just to help you. Big difference. It's not to say that the community is not friendly, it's how do I put it? It's like dating, boys. You don't want to come across as desperate to attract somebody. You want to be out there doing something cool already. Even if you're not, just make it sound like you're being proactive and you got something cool going on. If they don't join, it's their loss, not yours. So there you go, boys. Little dating tip in your Dofus video. Didn't see that coming, did you? Alright, let's move on. And lastly, stay mindful of the wisdom stat on your gear. When I was under level 200, max wisdom was a huge priority for me. An item with terrible wisdom can mean a huge loss of XP on the long run, so keep that in mind. Fortunately, there is a way to further increase your wisdom without putting points into it via wisdom scrolls, up to a whopping 100 extra points. Wisdom scrolls can be obtained with dopples, which are a sort of currency given to you when you do dopples at class temples. The dopples themselves are non-exchangeable, so if you want them, you gotta do the dopples. Although the scrolls themselves are exchangeable, so you can usually find them on the market and buy them straight with commas. There are a total of 15 dopples to defeat, one for each class. This can be done daily, and this is another reason why I don't suggest going full wisdom, because these fights are one-on-one, and these dopples are going to scale to your level to keep things challenging. Think of doing these dopples kind of like a daily routine workout for your character. So on top of getting the plumes to get characteristic scrolls, you're also getting XP as well. Once you have the doubloons, you can exchange them for scrolls with the NPC that looks like a big guy with the funny hat. I'll talk about scrolls in depth in another video, but for now just look at the condition of when you buy a scroll just to make sure it's right for you. There's a bit of a scale when it comes to them. Alright folks, that's a look at how XP and leveling up works in Dofus Touch. Hope that information was useful on how you approach getting those levels. Remember to like if you enjoyed the video, comment if you guys have something to say or something to add, and subscribe for more English Dofus Touch content. Until next time, this is Challenger EX.